Now, on 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app. O'Connor and Company.
It's 8:06. It's our fourth hour of 4 hours of morning drive time radio. Drive time, that means that you're all in your car. You're trying to get to where you need to get, and we're going to try to keep you informed and activated and entertained. And keep your eyes on the road, for crying out loud. That's why we're better than television or streaming video. It's O'Connor and Company. Alongside Julie Gunlock, I'm Larry O'Connor. Good morning, Julie Gunlock.
Good morning.
We recently shared, we didn't name the fine establishment of higher education that your oldest son has been accepted to, but we did note earlier in the week that you're one down, two to go in terms of having college acceptance here. Your oldest has been accepted to a great institution. And not only, I know that you're already excited about that, and it's great, and it's exactly what your son and your family wanted. But it's also nice to point out how bad it could have been.
Yes.
Let's just, but without naming the edifice of higher learning that your son is going to, let's just narrow it down here by process of elimination. He's not going to Berkeley.
No, he is not.
He will not be
my
going
father
to UC
being from
Berkeley.
California, that is not going to happen.
My son almost went to Berkeley, by the way. Ended up at a different.
Dodged a bullet there.
He went to a different UC school. He is at a different UC school right now, and it's got its own issues, but it's not Berkeley.
Yeah.
Earlier this week, on November 10th, Turning Point USA held an event at the University of California, Berkeley. Turning Point USA, of course, is Charlie Kirk's organization, and since his assassination, they have continued the college tour, coast to coast. And this one, Rob Schneider, comedian, red-pilled conservative comedian. Rob Schneider was one of the featured guests speaking to the students. And by the way, the auditorium was jam-packed, overflowing.
Yeah.
Alex Marlowe, the young man who runs Breitbart News Network.
Yeah.
I used to work with Alex at Breitbart. He was Andrew Breitbart's very first hire. He was like a personal assistant. He met him at a Young America's Foundation YAF college event for UC Berkeley. Alex Marlowe there are conservative Republicans at UC Berkeley. They're allowed to have a voice.
Right.
But not if you're the university, not if you're Antifa. Take a listen to these. But now, again, this is the organization led by Charlie Kirk, who just, 2 months ago, literally 2 months to the day, had lost their leader and founder to a left-wing, radical, transgender activist assassin's bullet to the throat. Yeah. 2 months later, the group comes to UC Berkeley, and this is what it sounded like. Yeah, that's just the calm part of the protests. Of course they turned violent because, of course, protests always turn violent when led by the left, pretty much. Police arrested several people. Fights erupted amongst the demonstrators and the attendees. One such attendee got into a violent, bloody fight because one of the Antifa protesters ripped his cross that he was wearing on a chain from around his neck. He tried to get his cross back. A scuffle ensued. The protester, by the way, has been charged with assault and robbery.
Yeah, the protester. I'm sorry. Oh, no, I'm sorry. But they arrested the man who was assaulted.
They arrested the victim as well. But the protester who was arrested in this scuffle, his name is Jihad Ferapoulas, 25 years old. His name is Jihad, Julie.
Nice.
You know, sometimes it's the people you least expect to engage in violent, tyrannical mob behavior against Christians. His name is Jihad.
That's nice.
The police did make some arrests, but it was chaos. There were smoke bombs. There was vandalism. There was violence. Harmeet Dillon, who runs the Civil Rights Division of the Department of Justice, is now initiating a full investigation into the failures of UC Berkeley and all of the law enforcement who obviously failed. This has been going on. I remember 12 years ago doing a story about Ben Shapiro, Young America's Foundation, with violence at UC Berkeley. Remember, the game then was, and Ann Coulter and Michelle Malkin had to deal with this 20 years ago.
Yes.
And the game was that Berkeley would say, we'd love to have your conservative speak here. It's going to cost you $20,000 in added security, which ended up, as a court has ruled, being basically a penalty, a fee for being conservative.
That's right.
Because a liberal speaker at a college campus doesn't need that kind of security because the police, first of all, you don't have violent protests against them. And if there are demonstrations, the police do their job. But here the police look the other way.
Well, and also there's just this idea that with these massive endowments, right? If let's say someone really controversial on the left came to the campus and there were threats, they would protect him.
Yeah.
They'd spend whatever they needed to protect him.
By the way, Young America's Foundation sued the University of California and the state of California and won that suit. So that's how conservative. But this is nothing new. The police knew this was going to happen. They always know it's going to happen. It's their obligation to keep the peace and keep security for this group. Again, 2 months after an assassination, and they utterly failed. Here's a little audio from inside the event. This is Rob Schneider, as I mentioned, talking to the TPUSA crowd.
And I'm right behind De Niro, right behind him, And then finally, somebody pushes me into De Niro. And De Niro turns around and he's like, Schneider, how could you support that schmuck? Trump is a schmuck. How do you support that? He's turning the whole country into schmucks. Schneider, I thought you were smarter than that. And I swear to God, the only thing I could think of at the time was, Robert De Niro knows who I am. I swear to God, I looked right at him and I said, I love you. I love you. He's like, no, I really love you. I love you. I swear to God, he looked right at me and went like, okay. That's the only way to handle this. We're never going to be able to out-cancel the cancel culture. They're better at it than us. The people outside, you got to love them. And I love them. I wish them the best. I hope they come around.
That is a great message, by the way, to look at hostility in its face and just say, I love you. I love you. It's great.
Yeah,
by the way, if he were really a witty, funny comedian, not taking anything away from Rob Schneider, but what's the actually appropriate thing to say to Robert De Niro when he confronts you like that? You just look back at him and say, are you talking to me? Are you talking to me? Meanwhile, here's how the local CBS Bay Area covered the violence at Berkeley. You'll never guess the phrase they used.
Event. Our Amanda Harry is live on the scene there where protesters also showed up. We've already actually seen at least one fight break out. Amanda.
Yeah, things have been lively here. While that Turning Point USA event is still happening inside, protesters have been out here for hours. You can see them still here behind me. They have been chanting, just a very, very lively scene out here. While things have been mostly peaceful, there have been some tense moments.
There it is. Mostly peaceful. Mostly peaceful, but some tense moments, yeah. As they lit munitions on fire while the attendees were coming in. You should look at it. It looks like Beirut in the 80s. Oh, it was mostly peaceful. We just had some tense moments. But it's lively.
Oh, these people.
It's 8:15.
WMAL, making sense of the news. Live from the Home Paramount Pest Control Studios. Home Paramount, the leader in pest control since 1939.
I can sit here and tell you that the organized left in America and Democrats in general are intolerant, narrow-minded, and at times dabble in violence to get their political message and their political agenda across. I mean, you could also listen to the Attorney General-elect of Virginia, Jay Jones, and get that same impression. But, listen, I'd be wasting my time. How about talk to one of them? Why don't we hear from one of them in particular, Cheryl Hines, who is a liberal Democrat actress who happens to be married to Robert F. Kennedy Jr., who is now your Secretary of Health and Human Services. She's selling a book, She did The View. She did a couple of other media appearances. And now she sat for a conversation with Bill Maher on Bill Maher's podcast. And she basically described what it was like to be a liberal in the Hollywood liberal Democrat bubble and suddenly be the wife of not just a man who was running and opposing Joe Biden and messing things up there for the Democrats, but then suddenly campaigning with Trump and part of the Trump cabinet. Here's cut 18.
The Republicans have been very kind to me from the beginning. Even from the beginning when Bobby was running as a Democrat, they weren't mean.
No.
And they never have been.
No.
And I can't say that for the Democrats.
I agree.
And it's
sad because it's not the Democrats we grew up with.
Right. Yeah.
And that's the difference that people don't, I think, see. They're like, why did you turn on the Democrats? Well, first of all, I didn't. Like I said, we voted for the same person. But I'm not going to pretend I don't notice how different they are.
Yeah.
How mean they've become.
Very mean.
Yeah, very mean. And keep going because that violence, that meanness turns into violence. And we've seen it. We see it play out all the time. It's good to hear Cheryl Hines actually lay it out there. And she specifically said, I saw how the Democrats were. I was one of them. I still am. And I can only tell you how the Republicans had treated me. Here's a little bit more from Bill Maher at 19.
I hope to have dinner with him again. And, he definitely doesn't like it when you critique him and thinks you're being unfair. But he is willing to listen.
Yeah.
And if he totally is not, because I, had dinner with him and then didn't become a Trumpist, he will yell at me, but does not want to cut me off. He does not want to cut me off, which is something I cannot say about the left.
Well,
they want to cut you off.
That's right. They use emotional blackmail. You're dead to me if you think that way.
100%.
And I know that there's a lot of listeners and a lot of people on the conservative side of the spectrum. We've been through hell for the last 10 years. We've been through hell for longer than that, actually. And I get how wearying it is, and I get how beaten down you get, and I know how hard it is to deal with family members and when they behave that way. But I got to implore you, this is sort of our superpower. This is the trump card that we hold in our back pocket, that we are the tolerant ones, and we are willing to listen, and we're willing to forgive, and we're even willing to be friends if we disagree on politics. The fact that we don't cut people out of our lives because of their politics and their views will always be the power that we possess.
I think it has a lot to do with Republicans tend to be more religious. And I mean, it is sinful to treat people this badly. It is sinful to cut people out of your lives because of a disagreement on politics. It is sinful behavior. And I think that that's really what keeps Republicans anchored. Look, there are lots of Republicans to this sort of libertarian wing that aren't necessarily religious. But I think in general, the culture in Republican circles is not to behave in this way, violently, threateningly, ghosting people. This is anathema to how we live our lives.
You're right. You're right. Well said. And I think that is a big part of it. And we can't let that go. We cannot let that go. We always have to keep, not only will it give us the moral upper hand in debating politics in the public square, but it's also, as you said, the right thing to do. It's actually the Christian thing to do, the faithful thing to do. One other thing that Bill Maher said there that is noteworthy, you noticed he didn't say that Trump gets angry if you criticize him. He was very specific. He's angry if he thinks you were unfair. See, that's when you deceptively edit a video I mean, he's a big boy. He's taken criticism his whole life. But when you deceive, when you lie, when you have to do what the BBC did or ABC News or CBS News.
And when you continue to do it after it has been debunked, very fine people, losers, all of these widely debunked myths that continue to follow him. And then you have someone like Abby Phillips going, the people on the right are really misinformed. It's my job to really, and
Right.
it is
Right.
galling to hear that.
We've got that audio from Abby Phillip coming up in a moment. But I do also want to compare what you just heard about Democrats and their intolerance and how, where Bill Maher says, Trump is, I've always found from Republicans, they're willing to listen, they're willing to change their mind, they're willing to at least hear you out and not cut you off. That's the key, to not cut you off and cut you out of your life. Take a listen once again. Jimmy Kimmel's wife bragging about how she has cut off her family because of politics.
I get really angry. And I've sent many emails to family like right before the election saying, I'm begging you, here's the 10 reasons not to vote for this guy. Please don't. And I either got ignored by 90% of them or got truly insane responses from a few.
It is it's 8. She's a monster, but we wouldn't cut her off. We'd love to have her over for dinner, wouldn't we?
Yeah, absolutely. If she's a family member, yes.
It's 8:23.
Coming up, we're gonna explain how Abby Phillips of CNN thinks that her job is to educate conservatives. Keep it here. It's 8:30.
WMAL FM, Woodbridge, Washington, a Cumulus media station. Making sense of the news. News Talk 105.9. WMAL. News now. Now on 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app. O'Connor and Company.
It's 8:36. 30 minutes from now, we're going to hand it off to Chris Plant, and we have no more responsibility. You're on your own with him. What can I tell you? It is Larry O'Connor with Julie Gunlock here on O'Connor and Company. We're just talking about this, the difference between how the right and the left talk to each other, deal with each other. It was sort of exemplified in the contrast between Cheryl Hines on Bill Maher's show, talking about how Republicans have been great to her, and how always had been, by the way, where Democrats, the second you go off the reservation, you're excommunicated and they become quite mean and cut you off. Bill Maher reiterated that. They're cutting him off because he criticizes Democrats on his HBO talk show, and he had dinner with Donald Trump. You're humanizing him. You're humanizing him. He's a human. But, of course, if Bill Maher going to dinner with Donald Trump is humanizing Donald Trump, then what the left does is, by definition, dehumanizing. And that's how assassin's bullets fly. We're talking about this not as a right-left divide here. It's like, look how different we are and look how mean they are and how nice we are. No, this is about how it affects very real issues in our society and in our culture. It's why Charlie Kirk was murdered, and why 2 months after his assassination, Antifa can go scream that Turning Point USA, his organization, is a bunch of fascists, and create a riot in Berkeley and have the media say, well, it's mostly peaceful.
Well, and also look at the lack of outrage by these so-called polite liberals or polite Democrats, right? Who the treatment of Charlie Kirk's widow has been grotesque. Yeah. The lack of sympathy for this poor woman. They make fun of her. They make fun of her makeup. They make fun of her hair. They make fun of her
clothes.
The fact
they
that,
suggest that she's having an affair with J.D. Vance.
Yeah, it's disgusting. And also, just her presence. They're like, why aren't you crying? Why aren't you crying? And then when she cries, they say, oh, look, she's putting, fake tears. I saw someone accuse her of putting fake tears in her eyes. I mean, it is monstrous how they've treated her. And does Abby Phillips or any of the people on the left that are so-called, mainstream, do they say anything? No.
Yeah, let's get into Abby Phillip. It's a good point. Abby Phillip, who is supposedly a mainstream, she's just a CNN anchor. She's not one of those crazies on MSNBC like Joy Reid, right? Well, here she is on, what podcast is this? Oh,
yeah, the crazy person.
Joy Reid's show. Yeah. So she's not crazy like Joy Reid. She just goes and hangs on her podcast.
Yeah, and agrees on everything.
Here's Abby Phillip, CNN host, prime time, describing what she thinks her job really is when it comes to being able to have a roundtable discussion that, God forbid, gasp, clutch my pearls, allows conservatives to sit at the table and voice their opinion. Oh, they're still outnumbered. But Scott Jennings, you could bring 10 people in and Scott Jennings still wouldn't be outnumbered intellectually. So here's Abby Phillip.
Conservatives are living in a completely different information world than liberals.
Yeah, the truth.
And breaking that down needs to be done. Because when you don't ever even hear the facts, it's hard to even know that you're wrong. And that happens a lot. I mean, half my job sometimes is knowing what the latest conspiracy is, so that if it comes up, I'm ready to address it. Because it happens a lot where people don't even know that what they're saying or what they've seen and believe is not true. And so that happens a lot, and I don't come away from that saying, what's the point of this? People are just saying false things. I think that one time that person brings up something that is debunked and false, and I debunk it at the table, might be the very first time that someone out there has heard an alternative point of view.
Such a hero. Oh, my gosh.
Her viewers, if your viewers are conservative, which they're not watching Abby, if that makes you feel better, they're stupid, they're intolerant, they're closed-minded, and because of the information silos they deal with, they're apt to believe in conspiracy theories. This is coming from a woman on the network who championed and was the tip of the spear on the Russia hoax.
Absolutely. Yep.
With no self-awareness. And by the way, she's sitting there on the podcast talking about crazy conspiracy theories on the right. She's talking to Joy Reid. Yes, this Joy Reid.
I can't stand JD Vance. Let's just be clear. There's nothing he could do. He could literally rescue my cat out of a burning building, and I would still hate JD Vance.
That
totally
Joy
normal.
Reid. Oh, how about this Joy Reid?
May have changed the calculation a little bit today. That we found out that Trump, our would-be strongman, is in a sense answerable to a bigger strongman, not Vladimir Putin, Elon Musk.
There you go, yeah. So there's conspiracy theories and information silos over there on the right, but if you watch Joy Reid, Trump is answerable to Elon Musk, who's the real strongman here. Also, this Joy Reid.
It is calculated, right? I mean, Donald Trump isn't just a doddering fool who happens to be racist. He's a calculated person who is not trying to grow his vote share. He's trying to speak into the id of a particular kind of voter about when he says we have to call out Detroit, Philly, and Atlanta. We have to go into Philly, Detroit, Atlanta. He lost Pennsylvania, Georgia, and Michigan in 2020, which is how he lost the election. It's why he's under indictment for attempting to steal those races. What he's telling his voters, his small, his share of extreme MAGA voters, these blacks are stealing the election.
Yeah, that's Joy Reid, and that's who Abby Phillip is talking to about the conspiracy theories on the right. By the way, that was 1 month before the election, when it appears Donald Trump did, in fact, grow his voter base quite considerably. Thank you very much. It's like it's two different worlds, but what's remarkable to me with Abby Phillip is, and remarkable, I guess, is that she's a member in good standing of the mainstream
That's right.
prime time kind of host. Like, she's not a wackadoodle, no, but this is how they view you, and it's why CNN continues to fail.
Yeah, and honestly, it is why it frustrates me sometimes, because you hear things, and other panelists who are conservative sometimes say, "Oh, but I'm friends with this person behind the scenes. I know that we're sitting here saying like you shouldn't cut people off." And I'm not asking to cut people off, but I am asking other panelists, conservatives who go on these shows, and I know you have very lucrative, contracts, but it is wrong that they sit there and stay silent as Erica Kirk is brutalized, continues to be made fun of, and treated so horribly by mainstream people, those mainstream people sit silently as people in their realm do this kind of thing. It drives me nuts. I don't care if off the cameras they're really nice. This is a terrible culture on the left that's not being policed by people like Abby Phillips.
Right. Also, Candace Owens. It is 8:40.
I get it.
8:44.
WMAL's Vince Colonnese, weekdays at noon on 105.9 WMAL, making sense of the news.
We've got an update on a story from last week. Remember this woman who was at a Gold's Gym in California, and she got thrown out because she complained that there was a man in the locker room staring at her and sexually abusing people in that room through his actions and his behavior and his leers. She's now become an activist, and she is on this story. And Well, let me just play the audio for you. She appeared at a public forum with State Senator Scott Wiener. Now, this guy, there's something really, really gross about him. He's the one who champions all of these policies. And she went to confront him and said that women need to be protected. And by the way, she identifies herself. You'll hear. She says, I'm a black lesbian, and I think you do a lot of good things. You know, this is how you have to get in front of these people. But take a look. And I want you to know, because you can't see it, this entire time he's just sitting there with his legs crossed with this smug attitude. Like he just doesn't care. Take a listen.
As a lesbian woman who was attacked in the women's locker room at Gold's Gym this week by a self-identifying trans woman with a documented history of domestic violence, I'm deeply concerned about women's safety in female-only spaces. What would you say to women who are seeking assurance that their safety will be protected from men who, by California law, can self-ID as women in women-only spaces, sir? Please tell me.
Yeah, so we want, everyone to be safe. And we also know that, we have trans people, both men and women, who are men and women. And so, so if you're trans women are women.
Senator, you've done great things with the bills you've passed with the housing. I've read a lot of your bills, and like you said, there are bills that need to be opened up, and I'm telling you now, millions of women across America are being harassed and sexually assaulted in locker rooms. I'm a lesbian black woman. I'm not transphobic. I'm not homophobic. And I do respect a lot of the things you've done. But I do see a lot of these bills that you've passed that are dangerous for women and young children. And I understand that you're trying to be on a level playing field. And I'm here to represent my community because I hear a lot of things about my community in these bills. And I'm telling you as a woman, first and foremost, that this is dangerous, and we need your help, because you're in the office, you're going to go in the Polinsky spot. I want to support you. I have millions of people behind me watching this right now, and we want to know, are you going to protect women? Not trans women, trans women are different things. Women. Listen, we need to protect women's safety. I was assaulted. No, they are not. They are men. I was assaulted by one. He broke his wife's jaw so bad she needed reconstructive surgery. I'm a lesbian. I'm not transphobic, and I'm black. So if there's another black woman in here who wants to tell me how they feel, please join in. But all of you are not. And I don't know who you are, what you are, but I'm a lesbian, and I'm telling you right now, men are harassing women in the locker room.
This is the tipping point, Julie. This is you heard the people, hey, you're the guy with a deep voice, trans women are women.
Yeah,
and you hear the desperation and emotion in her voice. This is a tipping point.
It's outrageous. And again, he immediately goes to, she has this very compelling, very emotional, she's very upset, but she's extremely respectful. And she's trying to put out there her bona fides. Look, I'm not homophobic. I'm not transphobic. She's pleading with him to listen to her. And his first thing is trans men are women. It
trans
just
men are women.
is.
Or
it's a
trans women
cult.
Yep.
It is, and women are expected to sacrifice themselves on this altar. It is sickening to see it play out in real time like that.
She says she's not transphobic, and yet, unless she acquiesces to policies and laws that make her a victim of sexual assault at the hands of a deranged man, that's exactly what she is in their minds. She is, in fact, transphobic. She is a hater. She is a bigot. And therefore, she doesn't need to be listened to or respected. That's the trick here.
Right.
That's what it's really all about. Your opinion doesn't matter anymore because you are a bigot. It's 8:52.